So this is just a presentation talking about the SAMR, which is the SAMR, also known as the substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. So the S is the shallowest part of what we can think of as a swimming pool, and this is the substitution. And this is where there would be no modification to the task, but the use of technology would be used and there would be no function change in the task. So the second part of our swimming pool is the augmentation, and this is when there is still a direct substitute, however there's a slight function improvement because of the use of technology. Both the first two levels are for the enhancement of the learning, and the second two, which we will get into now, are for the transformation of the learning. So the first of the two transformation ones is modification, and this is where we go deeper into the pool. And this is when the outcome of the task has remained, but the product has changed. So the final level that we have for our swimming pool is the redefinition. And this is when the technology has been incorporated for the outcome. And the idea of this is that the students have a stage and an audience for their work to be viewed, rather than kept to themselves and within the classroom. So now we're going to get to the man who created this model or this framework, and it is from Ruben Puentedura, and it was way back in the mid-1980s, before the 2000s even, which is crazy to think because of the change in technology since then. And some of the reasons why he did this was because he realized that there was a difference in enhancing and transforming both teaching and learning in the classroom. A quote from one of the videos in a website of an interview with him said that students are taking charge of their education and they can do this through the use of technology. And it's also keeping the heart of the matter, which means that the content, the standards, and the objectives are still the same, but the use of technology makes it so that the students are enhanced in their learning and transformed in their education. And another thing is that it's different types of learning, not just paper and pencil like so many people have learned in their schooling experiences. So why is SAMR so important? Students deserve to be prepared, as well as there's a requirement with the standards for them to be technology literate, and it just makes sense because of how technology is becoming so prevalent in the world, in personal lives, in their schooling lives, and in their careers. And it makes sense to have it incorporated into their standards for them to be fitting in with the rest of society in this way. So how would this look in the classroom? Well, throughout each of the levels of the slides that have been presented in this video, there were examples at the bottom of each slide. However, I compiled them into one slide using a resource that had these different apps for each of the levels of the swimming pool. For the first level, an example would be writing vocabulary definitions from a physical dictionary versus using a dictionary app, and it doesn't change the function of the task or the meaning behind the task. It's simply just a substitution of using technology, such as the dictionary app, rather than using a physical dictionary. So for the augmentation, an example of making it augmented is using Quizlet to create flashcards for vocabulary words that allows the students to study them in a quiz-like fashion or in a gaming manner. It just enhances it just a little bit, but it doesn't quite transform the learning quite yet. Now for the modification piece of the swimming pool, using Adobe Voice to pronounce a vocabulary word and state the definition by recording it would transform the learning, because then the student is more active using their voice as well in their learning experience. And this helps transform the learning because it ingrains it into their minds, because they're using their own voice and they're exploring an app that maybe they haven't used before. Now for the redefining level of the swimming pool, the example for this vocabulary would be posting a movie on YouTube using iMovie or Adobe Spark or something, and having those sound effects and voiceovers for the vocabulary words, and also a visual of images that corresponds with the word. And if they post it on YouTube or somewhere else on the internet, it gives them the audience that helps transform their learning experience. So rather than thinking about this in the swimming pool manner, We don't want to think about them treading water in the deep end 100% of the time, but we also want to challenge them. So we don't want them staying in that substitution section, because then they'll just be standing in 3 feet of water. What we want is for them to swim laps and experience all of the levels of the technology that they can use in their learning experience, both to enhance and to transform that experience for them.